In this video, every single player in FC24 will be rated 1 overall. This includes the highest rated players like Mbappe, Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, as well as the lowest rated players like Cris Sherpa, Isaiah Jones, and Liangkuan Jin. Never heard of them? Well, me neither, but we might find out about them shortly because it's an even playing field. Everyone's rated 1 overall with 1 potential. There's a big reason for that. I'll explain it later. But for now, we're gonna sim 15 seasons into career mode to see which teams win the most trophies, which players become superstars, and if any, which player wins the most Ballon d'Ors to claim GOAT status. We'll kick things off with a Premier League team first. I'm just gonna randomly pick one team. I'll close my eyes and stop. And we got Brighton. This is what our squad looks like. And it looks like this for everybody else as well. We'll sim till the end of the transfer window, and no transfers were made at all. I wonder if it's a bug or there's a reason for it, but here is the Ballon d'Or winner in season 1, and it's Marc Guiu from Barcelona. He's a 17-year-old striker, still rated 1 overall. Out of all the players, it went to this kid. And at the end of the season, it so happened that Brighton won the Premier League title. Man City came 2nd, Liverpool's 4th. Who got relegated? Brentford, Wolves, Luton. Nothing too crazy here. Arsenal finished 10th, Chelsea 15th. The FA Cup went to Chelsea. Bolton won the Carabao Cup against Blackpool. The Conference League went to Ajax against Lyngby. I believe that's a Danish side. The Europa League went to a Danish side, AGF. Look at the Danes go. They beat Liverpool 1-0 on penalties. Only one single guy scored out of 10 penalty kick takers. And the Champions League was Barcelona's against Shakhtar. Who knows, maybe the Ballon d'Or will go back to Marc Guiu. Apparently that's how you pronounce his name. But before we check all that, this is how the Premier League stats looked like. Joao Pedro was the Golden Boot winner. Jack Grealish up there. Washington from Chelsea. That's one of their 18-year-old Brazilians, David Washington. Top assist was Mitoma. And the top clean sheets went to a 39-year-old Andy Lonergan from Everton. Real rating, 58 overall. The 18-year-old Iker Bravo from Real Madrid was the Champions League top scorer. And then when it comes to the other leagues, PSG won the title in Ligue 1 by a mile. No one noticeable got relegated. The Bundesliga, no surprises here either. Bayern Munich won the title, but then Bochum is 2nd. That's a surprise. And then Milan won the title in Italy. The ranking is not surprising here. Same goes for Portugal, and Barcelona won La Liga. I suspect these might change in the 2nd season. Speaking from experience, the first seasons are always kind of predetermined when doing these experiments. So in the 2nd season, crazier things will happen for sure. But let's check the Ballon d'Or first for season 2. And it went to, I think it's Marc Guiu again. Wow. I mean, Barcelona won La Liga. They won the Champions League, and this guy must have been their top scorer. The next GOAT, Marc Guiu. When, by the way, we've taken over Leverkusen. We're in the Bundesliga. Everyone's rated 1 overall. Marc Guiu is still rated 1 overall as well. His contract's going to be expiring at the end of the season, so if he does leave Barcelona, we might end up having a new Ballon d'Or winner. But at the end of the season, Bayern Munich won the Bundesliga once again. Hoffenheim, Mainz, and Bochum are relegated. They finished 2nd last season. Borussia Dortmund's down in 13th place. The German Cup went to Werder Bremen. The Super Cup went to AGF Aarhus. The Conference League was won by Cluj this season, the Romanian side. They beat Napoli 1-0 on penalties. Bolton went to the semi-finals. And then the Europa League was won by Dinamo Zagreb against Bayern Munich. And the Champions League went to Inter against Brighton 1-0 on penalties. I wonder why it's always 1-0. Bochum went to the semi-finals. Wow. Harry Kane was the top scorer in the Bundesliga. He also had the most assists. Doesn't seem to be cursed here. And then this is what the clean sheets look like. Brighton won the Premier League once again. The top 6 is in the top 6. Burnley, Sheffield, Watford were relegated. This is what the championship looks like, by the way, if you're wondering. Lincoln City. Wow, they could be on their way to the Premier League. Ligue 1 went to PSG once again. And then the Serie A went to Milan once again. Nothing crazy happening so far, interestingly. La Liga was won by Real Madrid. But where's Barcelona? They're down in 9th. Well, let's see who won the Ballon d'Or moving on to season 3. And the Ballon d'Or went to Vinny Jr. this time. Real Madrid did win La Liga, and Vinny Jr. was probably their top scorer. But the common theme with the Ballon d'Or is that it goes to a player from whoever wins La Liga. And for season 3, we were in charge of Sassuolo, and it appears that dynamic potential has kicked in because some players are above 1 overall now. And the Serie A title went to Spezia. That's a surprising one. Cosenza's 2nd. Atalanta's relegated. Milan's in 16th. They won the last 2 titles. The Conference League went to an Austrian side, Wolfsburger AC. The Europa League went went to Panathinaikos, a Greek side. Again, 1-0 on penalties. And the Champions League went to a Turkish side. This is so interesting. Leverkusen lost to them. They were undefeated in their group, Karagümrük. They took out Benfica, Brighton, Betis, and finally Leverkusen. And they were the title winners in Turkey. Now, La Liga went to Real Madrid again. So I'm curious to see if we're going to get a fourth Ballon d'Or from La Liga. Bundesliga went to Wolfsburg this time, but Bayern Munich still in the top 2. Same thing goes for Liga and PSG second. Lens won it. Sunderland are back in the Premier League, winning the championship this season. And Arsenal won the title, Brighton second. The first 2 seasons winners have come second, with the exception of AC Milan. No surprises when it comes to relegation so far. Now here's a region who's won the Golden Boot in Serie A, and I'm glad to see that he's rated 4 overall here. The reason I say this is because at the beginning of the video I said every player has 1 potential, which was the important part, because I tested this with 99 potential, and every time an old player retires, a region takes his place, but they come out with 90 or 95 or 99 rating even sometimes, which kind of ruined the fun. So I can gladly say that everyone with 1 potential is so far way better. And in season 4, the Ballon d'Or goes to Arsenal's Nader Ibrahim, which means it didn't go to a La Liga player, so we've kind of debunked that theory. This time they gave it to a player from the Premier League champions, and it appears that Ibrahim is actually Salah's regen, rated 5 overall, must have been the top scorer in the Premier League. And at the end of season 4, we were in La Liga. Valladolid won the title. I was controlling Valencia. They came second. Real Madrid 7th. Barcelona's down in 11th. And then Atletico Madrid have been relegated. The Conference League went to a Polish side, Wrocław. The Europa League went to the Hungarian side, Ferencvárosi. Wolfsburger, last season's Conference League winners, played in the final. And the Champions League went to Slavia Praha. They took out the Italian champion Spezia in the final. Brighton in the semis again. Barrios was the Golden Boot winner from our club. And then a player named Estanis got the most assists. And then Ojeda got the most clean sheets. Barrios, the Golden Boot winner, is only a 5 overall, by the way. The highest rated player is this guy, Jimenez, 7 overall. He had 21 goals, 10 assists. Now, looking at the Premier League, Brighton have won the title. You'll remember they came second last season. Arsenal had won the title, but they're in 10th. And Chelsea's in last. They've been relegated. Newcastle's relegated as well. And then looking at the championship, Bristol City's moving up. Wolves are going back up. And then you've got Brentford going down into EFL League 1. In Ligue 1, the champions were Monaco. I don't see PSG in the top 8. They're down in 13th. They haven't been relegated. Leverkusen won the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich is down in 10th. Borussia Dortmund's 9th. Frankfurt's been relegated. Leipzig possibly. And then Serie A was won by a team called Ternana. Ascoli is second. Roma's third. Fiorentina dead last, relegated. The Champions League finalists, Spezia, they're in 17th. They barely survived relegation. And looking at the Eredivisie, Ajax has won it. Nothing really surprising here. In Portugal, Moreirense has won the title. Benfica's down in 11th. This is what the Saudi League looks like. Now, moving on to Season 5, we're going to be in charge of Manchester City. They're all rated 1 overall in the starting 11. And then all of the substitutes as well as the reserves are rated 1 overall, except for this kid. Gonzalez, rated 5 overall. I feel like he's Rodri's regen, so he goes in the starting 11 here. And the Ballon d'Or was won by this guy, and his name is Israel Salazar from Real Valladolid. And he is 1 overall. He's a real player. His real rating is 62 overall with 76 potential, so you never know. He's worked harder than everybody else and won the Ballon d'Or. Don't give up, kids. Now, at the end of this season, West Ham are Premier League champions. Wolves are second. You'll remember they just got promoted last season from the championship. Blackburn are in third. And then Aston Villa, Everton, Bournemouth, they're relegated. Liverpool is safe. The Conference League went to Twente against Sligo Rovers. A Scottish side was in the semifinals. Dundee, they're only a 1-star side normally. And I think Sligo is like a half-star side. And then the Europa League went to Club Brugge against Strasbourg. And the Champions League went to Borussia Mönchengladbach against Racing Ferrol. I believe that's a Portuguese side. Now, Erling Haaland came in second in the Golden Boot race. Some region named Brown from Leeds United is the winner. Now, Chelsea finished second in the championship, so they're coming back to the Premier League. In Ligue 1, the Europa League finalists Strasbourg were the champions. PSG finished 13th again. The Bundesliga went to Leverkusen once again. Bayern Munich finished second this time. Leipzig finished last. In the Serie A, Como won the title, another second division side. Lazio, Napoli, and Spezia were relegated. Spezia, as we remember, played in the Champions League final last season. Oh, and actually, the Champions League finalist is not a Portuguese side. They are a Spanish side, so they must have been in the second division. Racing de Ferrol, they finished third here. Barcelona's won the title. Sevilla relegated. And then Atletico Madrid finished 18th in the second division of Spain. Now in the 6th season, we're taking over PSG. Kylian Mbappe is still a 1 overall. I'm really curious to see if he's gonna win the Ballon d'Or, or even Haaland for that matter, one of the usual players that you would expect to win the Ballon d'Or. And the Ballon d'Or went to Rafinha, a more known player, but not one that you would expect to win the Ballon d'Or. Oh, and Rafinha, by the way, is still a 1 overall. And at the end of the season, Ligue 1 was won by Strasbourg. PSG finished 5th. Luton Town won the Conference League. Elche won the Europa League. And Barcelona won the Champions League for the second time against that Turkish side that had won it in the 3rd season. So 2 finals for Karagümrük as well. Now, Ferran Torres had 11 goals for Barcelona in the Champions League. So I'm curious to see if he'll win the Ballon d'Or in season 7. And before we check the Ballon d'Or, here's what La Liga looked like this season. Barca actually finished 3rd. Como won the Serie A once again. Bayern won the Bundesliga. Manchester City finally wins the Premier League. Liverpool relegated. Chelsea bottom of the table once again. Oh, and Mbappe went up to a 4 overall. And he had 25 goals with 11 assists this season. Now, guys, I've searched the highest rated players so far, and I found this guy, Vito Vitale. Goalkeeper for Juventus, 18 years of age, 12 overall. I'll show you guys the live editor. These guys, for whatever reason, show up here, but I can't find them in the transfers. So it goes Vito Vitale, 12 overall, and then these 9 overall players. There's a handful of them, and then goes down to 8. There's a lot of 8s and then 7s. But this is the highest rating a player has gotten in 7 seasons so far. But here's the Ballon d'Or winner in season 7. It's Phil Foden. Man City had won the Premier League title, so it went to a Man City player this time. And at the end of the season, Dinamo Bucuresti from Romania has won the Conference League. Luton Town this time won the Europa League. Will they be winning the Champions League next season? But Dinamo Zagreb won the Champions League this season, a former Europa League winner, against Hearts, who played in the semi-finals last season. For the English fans out there, Fulham was in the semi-finals. Slavia Prague, a former winner, was in the semi-finals as well. Barcelona and Karagümrük, last year's finalists, were in the quarterfinals. Interesting bunch in the Champions League so far. Real Madrid were in it, but they were knocked out in the round of 16 by Hearts. Brighton won the Premier League for either the 2nd or 3rd time. Man City finished 2nd. Charlton Athletic in the top 4. Now Wickham secured promotion. Wow, Luton were in the Championship. They won the Europa League while playing in the Championship. I mean, it's nothing crazy. Everyone's rated 1 overall for the most part, but still. Now, Aston Villa were apparently relegated at some point. Liverpool are stuck in the Championship. They finished 8th. Chelsea in 10th. Everton in 12th. And no relegation down to the EFL League 1 for any Premier League side so far. PSG won Ligue 1 by a point. Leverkusen won Bundesliga. Bochum finishing 2nd again. Como won the Serie A for a 2nd time, I believe. Parma in 2nd. But no top sides have been relegated thus far in Italy, apart from Napoli. They're in 11th in Serie B. Real Zaragoza won La Liga this season by 20 points. Atletico Madrid apparently are back in La Liga. Now on to season 8. And the Ballon d'Or in season 8 went to this guy. It's the 36-year-old Sinan Bakic from Real Zaragoza, rated 1 overall. His real rating in FC 24 is actually a 69 overall, and he's most recently played in Austria, the Netherlands, and the 2nd division of Spain. The Conference League went to Villarreal. The Europa League went to Juventus. All penalties are still being decided by a single goal for some reason. And the Champions League went to another Turkish side, Çaykur Rizespor, and they beat Bochum, the side that keeps finishing 2nd in the Bundesliga. So it was another bottle job for them here. West Ham were in the semi-finals. Luton were in the quarters. They lost to West Ham. Looking at the Premier League, Brighton won it again. Fulham are 2nd again. Wickham were newly promoted last season, and they finished in 5th. Tottenham came in last, so they're being relegated. Newcastle are going to be promoted back to the Premier League. Liverpool possibly. Chelsea still struggling in the Championship. Guingamp won Ligue 1. Bordeaux 2nd. They used to be a powerhouse. PSG in 6th. Leverkusen won the Bundesliga once again. Bochum are 3rd. Bayern in 6th. Parma won the Serie A. They were great back in early 2000s, late 90s. Milan came in 19th, so they're relegated. And if there was a 3rd Italian division in FC 24, Napoli would have been there this season. They finished 19th in the 2nd division. And then in La Liga, this team, Racing de Ferrol, Espanyol won the title. If you'll remember, they were in the Champions League final in season 5 but lost to Mönchengladbach. And then Atletico Madrid are relegated once again. They finished last. Now in season 9, Joao Pedro won the Ballon d'Or from Brighton. Oh, and by the way, when it comes to transfers, teams are signing free agents. All these guys are regens, obviously. And they all seem to be rated 7 overall. Oh, this guy's 8 overall, actually. So Meiju Haka has signed a superstar here. And at the end of the season, Wolfsberger have won themselves a second Conference League trophy. They took out the Swedish side AIK 1-0 on penalties. PSG were in the semi-finals, so were Dundalk, a half-star Irish side. The Europa League went to Racing de Ferrol. Villarreal had won the Conference League last season. They went into the finals of the Europa League this season. And the Champions League went to Borussia Dortmund against Slavia, a Turkish side in the semi-finals. Hearts in the semi-finals. Last year's winners, Çaykur Rizespor in the quarter-finals. Brighton won the Premier League once again. Charlton finished second. Manchester United are relegated. Tottenham's going back into the Premier League after one season of the Championship. Oh, and it looks like Chelsea are going to be the first big side to go down into EFL League One. Burnley and Sheffield were the first Premier League sides to go down there. So it'll be interesting to see which team goes down into EFL League 2 first. Ligue 1 went to Strasbourg. This team has been on top for quite a while now. PSG were tied in points with them, but Strasbourg won it on goal difference. Leverkusen won the Bundesliga again. Bochum are second. And I believe a third division side finished fourth here, Elversberg. And then in Italy, Parma won it for a second season in a row. Como coming in second. They've recovered. And Torino are going down into Serie B. And finally in La Liga, Espanyol were the champions. And Atletico Madrid still stuck in La Liga 2. And in season 10, Joao Pedro with back-to-back Ballon d'Ors. He's won it for the second time. The Conference League went to this team. Austria lost now against the season 8 Champions League winners, Rizespor. The Europa League went to Juventus against Blackburn in the final. And the Champions League went to Dortmund once again. Back-to-back Champions League titles. They took out PSG 3-0. And look at Hearts. They've been in the semi-finals more than any other team so far. I had control over Real Madrid and they went to the semis as well. The title went to Villarreal this time. In Italy, Parma has won the title for a third season in a row. Same thing goes for Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. Third title win in a row. Bochum finished second again. And then that third division side is in third place this season. Dortmund have finished fourth. Bayern Munich down in 10th. Ligue 1 went to Bordeaux. PSG is third. And Leeds United won the Premier League. It took them 41 years. Last time they had won it was 91-92. And we're currently in the 2032-33 season. Fulham have come in second. Birmingham in the top 4. And Manchester City dead last, relegated. I think Arsenal's the only top 6 side that hasn't gotten relegated. And guys, Chelsea are going into EFL League 2. They finished in 21st in EFL League 1. Sheffield United are going down there with them. They are the first 2 Premier League sides going all the way down into EFL League 2. Alright guys, we're nearing the end. If Joao Pedro wins another Ballon d'Or, he'll probably become the GOAT unless Mark Ghiu shows up out of nowhere. But who is this guy? In season 11, Leeds United striker Matteo Joseph has won the Ballon d'Or. This young lad at age 30 has won the Ballon d'Or. Another one overall. He's actually got decent potential. 64 rated, 81 potential. And apparently he's cousins with Emil Heskey from his dad's side. His mom's Spanish. Hence the name Matteo. But the question still remains, who's gonna be the GOAT? Mark Ghiu or Joao Pedro? But before we find out, here's the winner of the Conference League. It's Ferencvaros against last season's winner and 2-time champion, Wolfsberger. They've been a powerhouse in this competition. And then here's a Swedish side who's won the Europa League, Kalmar, against the Swiss side Servette. And then the Champions League went to Juventus. As you'll remember, Juve won the Europa League in the past 2 seasons. I had control over Barcelona this season. They finished third. Rayo Vallecano are the champions. Mark Ghiu still rated 1 overall, and he hasn't played in a single match this season. Oh, how far we've come. Once a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner, now he's not even on the bench. Or he could be on the bench, just not being played. But in any case, Ligue 1 went to Strasbourg once again. Bundesliga goes to Leverkusen for the 4th time in a row. Bochum are second again. In Italy, Parma are champions for the 3rd or 4th time in a row. And then guys, look at this. The Premier League champions are Derby County. Derby County comes out of nowhere and wins the Premier League title in season 11. Tottenham and Liverpool are being relegated. Arsenal still hanging on to the Premier League. Look at Harrogate Town. They're going up to the Premier League. And then Aston Villa's falling down into EFL League League 1. In EFL League 2, where's Chelsea? They're down in 18th. Sheffield is 17th. So Chelsea is officially the worst team so far from the Premier League. And Crystal Palace will join them in EFL League 2 next season. But now in season 12, the Ballon d'Or went to Derby County's Henry Clark. Henry Clark is a 5 overall striker. He's relentless. He's got a bullet of a shot with his 5 finishing. Henry Clark is the next Harry Kane. He could be Harry Kane's region actually, but he's a Ballon d'Or winner and he's won the Premier League. So Harry Kane's doing a lot better in that parallel universe. But anyway, the Conference League this season goes to Adana Demirspor. The Europa League went to Real Valladolid against PSG, still 1-0 on penalties. The usual suspects in the semi-finals. And the Champions League went to Barcelona against Sivasspor, another Turkish side. They took out Strasbourg 8-2 on aggregate in the semis. Club Brugge also in the semis. This is what the quarterfinals look like. But this title makes Barcelona the best team so far in the Champions League. This is their third. Borussia Dortmund have 2 and everybody else has 1. Ligue 1 this time went to Lille. Leverkusen's won the Bundesliga once again on goal difference. Bochum again second. Serie A goes to Parma as well this season. And in La Liga, Amorebieta are champions. And Real Madrid are relegated. Wow. Barcelona still hanging on here. They finished 12th, but they'll still be in the Champions League next season. And the Premier League went to Tranmere Rovers. Sutton United is second. Newly promoted Harrogate Town are in the Champions League. They finished 4th. Leeds United are 3rd. And Arsenal have finally been relegated. The last time Tranmere won a trophy, which was their only trophy by the way, it was the Football League trophy. I'm not sure if it's the EFL or Carabao Cup as it's known now, but as their second trophy ever, they've won the Premier League. Now let's see if they'll have a Ballon d'Or winner in season 13. And in season 13, the Ballon d'Or goes to Tranmere Rovers' Dexter Simon. Dexter Simon is a Jamaican center forward rated 5 overall. He becomes the first Jamaican to win a Ballon d'Or. And this becomes the 5th Ballon d'Or in a row that went to a Premier League player. And also since the beginning, it only went to Premier League or La Liga players. And at the end of the season, Karagümrük have won themselves the Conference League against PSG. And there were 3 successful penalties in that match. And Bochum has finally won a trophy. They won the Europa League against Bordeaux. Oh, and that other German side that I kept talking about, Elversberg, they were in the semi-finals of this tournament. And the Champions League went to Juventus for a second time against Leverkusen. Dortmund came close to winning their 3rd title, but they were knocked out by Juventus in the semis. Montpellier won Ligue 1. Leverkusen, surprise, surprise, have won the Bundesliga again. And also another surprise, Bochum are 2nd. And Bayern clinging on, barely. They finished 15th. And then in Italy, surprisingly, Parma is 2nd. Südtirol wins the title. La Liga went to Amorebieta once again, with Barcelona coming in 15th. They've survived. Real Madrid are still stuck in La Liga 2. And Tranmere Rovers are back-to-back Premier League champions. Incredible. Derby County 2nd. Charlton always in the top 4. The Premier League has become really interesting. Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, Wolves, they're still stuck in the championship. And then you've got Manchester City being relegated into EFL League 2. I had control over Chelsea and they won the League 2 playoffs, so they're being promoted to EFL League 1. This is how this table looked. Now, Juventus winning the Champions League ties them with Borussia Dortmund with 2 trophies. Will either of those teams catch up to Barcelona and pass them in the last 2 seasons? Or will Barcelona claim their title to be the most successful European team? But in any case, the Ballon d'Or in season 14 goes to Dexter Simon once again. This is exciting stuff. He becomes a 2-time winner, tying Marc Giu as well as Joao Pedro. So he's got 1 more season to claim GOAT status. But at the end of the season, yet another Turkish side has won the Conference League against Wolfsberger. The Europa League goes to Apoel, a Cypriot side. And the Champions League went to Tranmere Rovers. So you can be sure Dexter Simon could win a 3rd Ballon d'Or and become the GOAT. And look at their opponents, Charlton, the top 2 in the Premier League last season. Incredible. And then in the semi-finals, we've got Leeds United as well as a Polish side. I believe Radom is a Polish side. This is just insane. Tranmere Rovers coming out of nowhere, winning back-to-back Premier League titles and then the Champions League. And it's all thanks to this Jamaican center forward, possibly the next GOAT. He's competing with Marc Giu, and Joao Pedro has retired, so he has a regen. I'm not really sure who the regen is, so it's either gonna be Dexter Simon or Marc Giu winning a 3rd Ballon d'Or, possibly. To be sure of that, we have to check the Premier League, and it went to Tranmere Rovers once again. Brighton coming in 2nd. If Joao Pedro hadn't retired, he could have been in contention. Leeds United 3rd, Charlton finishing 9th, PSG winning Ligue 1 once again, and Bochum has done it. They have won the Bundesliga, finally. Leverkusen are down in 3rd. Bologna has won the Serie A, different champion here once again. La Liga goes to Amorebieta for the third time in a row. Barcelona are still around, but they're not going to be in the Champions League because they finished 14th. So it all comes down to this. Is Dexter Simon the GOAT in season 15? And Dexter Simon is your GOAT. He has won the Ballon d'Or once again. This becomes his third Ballon d'Or and the most in this experiment. I mean, who would have known that a player from Tranmere Rovers would become the next GOAT at the beginning of this video. Now we have to quickly see whether Juventus or Borussia Dortmund have won a third Champions League trophy. The Conference League went to a one-time great German side, Kaiserslautern, against Harrogate Town. The Europa League went to Shakhtar Donetsk. And the Champions League went to Borussia Dortmund. They took out Casa Pia, a Portuguese side, in the final. So they have tied Barcelona with 3 Champions League wins. But I'm really curious to see if Tranmere Rovers have won the Premier League for a third time. They haven't. Brighton are the champions. Tranmere down in 7th. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you'll enjoy this one as well. Go on. Come on. Take care.